with their noise and their laughter and God help knows what they were doing.
So you saw this in the cinema, did you?
I did.
Because you normally, if I'm right about you, Nathaniel, you normally steal things, don't you?
Wrong.
You do. You're a thief.
I'm not a thief, Richard.
You normally steal movies from the internet. You wouldn't download a car, would you?
You wouldn't download a car, Richard, you're quite right. But I did go to
you download a movie.
I saw this in the cinema, Richard.
Go on, we'll believe you this time.
Thank you very much. There's a mixed
What are they doing? Sorry, Nathaniel, I interrupted. What were they doing, these hoodlums?
Well, I've just said that they were being noisy, that they were giggling and chuckling and disturbing the whole experience. I couldn't enjoy it in the silence that the whole cinematic experience is meant to be enjoyed in.
Do you not think that, you go and watch a horror movie, do you not think that people, they do a bit of talking and a bit of laughing, basically because they're trying to mask their fear?
Yes.
So what's your problem?
If you're going to do that, watch it at home. You've got to think about other people.
Okay.
You can't expect people paying money to see a film to not complain about that sort of thing.
I've got to say, in this instance, Nathaniel, I think our roles are reversed because I would be far more tolerant of the bad. When I saw it, people were laughing, they were talking, they were screaming. It's a horror movie.
I can understand the screaming at the frightening point, of course. That's natural and obvious. But when they're making noise in the points between the scary points, then that's out of order.
The points between the scary points.
The points between the scary points, indeed, yes.
Okay. And what do you want them to do?
Keep bloody well quiet.
Just sit there and watch the film.
Sit down.
Is that what you're saying?
Sit down and watch the film. It doesn't sound
okay, right. Just so we're clear.
Is that such an extravagant thing to ask for? Sit there and watch the film.
Carry on. Go on.
It was a mixed bag, Richard. I had its disappointments and its high points. I was disappointed that the current director didn't maintain the levels of character development that the previous two did.
Right.
He didn't care as much about what happened to the family. Their characters weren't developed enough. He didn't warm to them. And the first two films really managed to achieve that. So I thought that was not a good move.
Now, is that a case of familiarity breeding contempt?
No, quite the opposite.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because aren't you kind of getting used to the format now, so it's taking a bit more to impress you?
No, not really, because that was one of the most impressive things about the first two, was the time they put into such a sparse movies to give a real persona to the characters.
Well, fair enough. Good answer, Nathaniel, fair enough.
Yeah. They injected humour into number 3, Richard. Didn't agree with that either.
What humour?
The scenes I'm referring to?
Yeah.
The mother, when she's wearing the mask in the wardrobe, she jumps out, ooh, and then the babysitter sneaking up on the camera.
Oh yes, yeah.
All this.
So these were they were kind of jumpy moments, but with a bit of a humorous slant to them.
Exactly that. You're meant to come
with you.
made to jump and then made to smile.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Which is fair enough, but it doesn't belong in that film because that film's about the build of attention and atmosphere, and that just punctured it.
There was none of that in the first two, was there?
There wasn't. You're right. No, there wasn't, and that's
that's a good point. That is.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're really very astute so far, Nathaniel. I've got to tell you.
I couldn't tell you who directed it, though.
We're used to that.
Yeah.
By now.
Yeah.
We don't expect that of you.
Yeah.
So carry on.
Yeah. I was pleased with the depiction of the ghostly demon. That's something that the first two films didn't. It was all the power of suggestion, all left to the imagination, which worked well, don't get me wrong. But I was glad to see that aspect explored in number 3. You actually got to see the image of the demon, and it gave the terror just a bit of an extra edge.
Do you think it would have tested people's patience to have got to the end of part 3 and actually not know what's causing the mayhem?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot to ask.
Yeah.
I guess that's a fair point, yeah. Wasn't asking for much, but they did provide it, so fair enough on that score.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the ending, Richard. Really enjoyed it. I mean, despite the utterances of the idiots in the cinema, saying, what a rubbish ending. I clearly can't think.
No.
It was still left open, obviously, wasn't it, for further films.
Well, I mean, guaranteed there'll be a part 4 next Halloween.
Too much money to be made out of this this series, obviously.
And it's, get this, Nathaniel, it's opening weekend in America. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It made back its money.
Wow. There you go.
In 4 days, in one country, it raped the same amount of money as it cost to make. So anything after that is profit.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is incredible, quite right. So they're raking it in, and they're obviously, like you say, with the ending that they made in the number 3, they're obviously going to expand on that more. But I thought it was a really good twist, the implication of the grandmother, Lois.
Oh, Nathaniel, careful.
It's not girl, come on.
Careful.
I'm just feeding them scraps, Richard, feeding them scraps.
Okay. All right, be careful though, mate, because, I don't want to have to fend off all the emails based on your inappropriate comments.
You're talking to the mirror again.
Carry on.
And I'm done. All yours.
You're done?
All yours.
Okay, well, Nathaniel, I thought this was scary stuff. Without question, these movies are the most frightening films coming out of Hollywood today. Can you think of anything scarier that, mainstream Hollywood's producing?
Surprisingly enough, no, I can't.
You can't. I was kind of expecting a comedy answer there. Like, what about the Adam Sandler movies or something like that?
No, you just got the honest answer.
You got the honest. Good. Okay. The youngest of the girls, she was amazing. The really young one.
They're about the same age, roughly, weren't they? I couldn't say which was the youngest.
The younger one was the one that was shorter, and the one that looked younger.
You've forgotten the name.
No, it's Christy.
Not Katie.
Christy is the young one.
Okay.
Kate is the older one.
Fair enough.
You tried to get me there, didn't you? You tried to catch me out.
Well dodged.
Yes. Try harder.
Okay.
I'll say that again, just for people that missed it. Just to reinforce how ludicrous your question was, the younger one was the shorter girl who looked younger. We clear? Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Good. Chloe Sengari, her name is. Sounds a bit foreign to me. But that aside, she was very good. Now, the audience that I saw it with, they were a bit boisterous, like yours, but they were scared to death.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty scary film.
They were literally, Nathaniel, they were screaming out loud. The big pufters.
You've just said it was one of the most frightening films that you've seen recently.
Yes.
I bet you were squealing like a girl as well.
I was silent.
Were you really?
I endured.
That'd be a bloody first.
I took it like a man.
Did you?
Now, the man in the piece, whose name I have forgotten before you say it, frankly, Nathaniel, he deserved to die. If indeed he did die, I'm not going to say if he did, but he deserved to die regardless.
Because of?
Well, you don't mess with the spiritual, do you? You don't mess around with the world of the spiritual. Even me, as a scientist, I know that.
You're a scientist now, are you?
I am a scientist, Nathaniel. I got 2 C's at O level.
Oh, right, okay.
That's a scientist. I have a qualification based in science. That makes me a scientist.
Fair enough.
If I were in this situation, Nathaniel, I would be in no jeopardy at all, as I would simply pray my way to salvation. And the demonic force would be compelled to yield.
Admirable faith there, Richard. Not sure how justified it is.
It's happened to me once before.
Is this where I'm meant to be interested and ask you what it is?
It's up to you.
Carry on.
Do you want me to tell you?
Not really.
Okay. I won't. The babysitter, Nathaniel.
Yes.
Oh. She was beautiful. She was beautiful. Nathaniel, even though I'm 35 years her senior, I could eat her up with a spoon.
I missed that from last week, I have to say.
I'd do dreadful things to her, Nathaniel, if she let me.
Would you?
Dreadful things.
You want to go a bit further on that?
It was the costume she was wearing. Oh, good Lord above. I crossed myself. In the theatre, I crossed myself.
Did you?
She was absolutely beautiful. I felt a stirring, Nathaniel, that I haven't felt in a couple of weeks.
Right.
It's hard to concentrate when she was on screen.
Really?
That little skirt she had on, and those white trainers, those pumps. Pumps. She was wearing pumps. Pumps.
Yes, pumps, Richard. We've got that. Do you want the shovel?
The woman who plays Christy in part 2 and at the beginning of this. Do you know what her name is?
No.
I'm not making this up. Sprague Graydon.
Is there a point?
What kind of stupid name is that, Barrett Moore?
Well, she probably thinks Richard's a stupid name.
Sprague?
I don't know, maybe she's...
Got the city with an S at the front.
Well, maybe she's from Iceland or Finland or something. He's probably
Sprague.
like John or Sarah up there, who knows?
I've never seen Sprague. She made that up.
I quite like it. I quite like his originality.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm going to call mine... If I have a daughter, I'm going to call her Sprague.
Well, if I have a daughter, I'm going to call her Sparris. How about that?
Cool, yeah, sounds alright.
Sparris.
Yeah.
Paris. And I'm just going to put an S on the front.
Sparris Shittlebob, yeah.
Sparris Shittlebob.
A ring to it.
Nonsense. Now, whenever I got frightened, I just thought of you, Nathaniel, and that seemed to soothe me somehow. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure yet.
Well, there's nothing else to it. I'm just telling you a fact.
You thought of me and you found it soothing.
I thought of your face. Whenever I started to get scared,
Yeah.
I thought of your face. And that made me feel better.
I guess I'm okay with that.
Good.
So
did you think of me, Nathaniel, when you were watching the movie?
Sorry?
Did you think of me at all when you were watching the film?
Well, sort of. I kind of developed your rage, I have to say.
Because of the noisy people.
Yeah, I was looking down the auditorium, Patrick Bateman style.
Yes.
To say.
Yes.
But yeah, so I suppose I did it in some small way, yes.
7 out of 10 for me. This one, 7 out of 10.
Match that, 7 out of 10. Right, people, time for your weekly instalment of classic movie discussion. Should provide some interesting fodder for you this week, as we're going to attempt, emphasis on the attempt, to pick apart the surreal and twisted nature of the David Lynch cult classic from 1977, Eraserhead. The plot itself is something I'm sure Richard and I will be bashing around. Suffice to say that the lead character, Henry Spencer, is a banal man living an even more banal existence. His life is depicted as gloomy, dark and miserable, with very, very little pleasure in his life. He endures a girlfriend that leaves him when things become unbearable, an environment that only contains industrial machinery and the accompanying noises, a mutant baby, and a fling with an attractive neighbour that all goes awry. Add to the equation the disturbing visions he has in his dreams, and what you have on your hands is a surreal and utterly dark piece of work that will have anyone who sees it coming up with their own suggestions about what it's all about. Do you want to have first go, Richard?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not sure. I have watched it.
Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's a tough view. It's an awkward view, absolutely.
Did you understand this, Nathaniel?
I understood bits, I think, Richard.
Go on.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, if you would, because I'm going to be honest with you, I was flailing in the dark.
Right, okay.
I did not get this.
Might be a blatant case of stating the bleeding obvious, but David Lynch wasn't a happy bunny when he penned this film, was he?
Oh, you wouldn't have thought so, would you?
No, absolutely not.
He was in a dark place.
I think he was in a real big place.
Good Lord.
I feel certain that he was depicting himself as Henry Richard.
I would agree with that. It seemed very personal.
Because although it was incredibly dark and surreal, the emotions and the life situations that he found himself in trying to cope with them, were very real.
They were everyday situations, weren't they?
Pretty much.
That we've all experienced.
Yes. Well, to some degree.
Save the mutant baby, get rid of that out of the equation.
Yeah.
But, you know, the visiting the in-laws, that awkwardness,